Archbishop, you knew it was a crime for an adult to engage in sex with a kid.
I'm not sure whether I knew it was a crime or not. I understand today it's a crime.
When did you first discern that it was a crime for an adult to engage in sex with a kid?
I don't remember.
When did you first discern that it was a crime for a priest to engage in sex with a kid who he had under his control?
I don't remember that either.
You know, we still have to ask questions about whether there was a system or a culture that was specific, peculiar to the church, that allowed these crimes to happen and to be covered up.
This is all about people whose lives were ruined because they took this priest and moved him here and moved him there and didn't tell anybody. And this is what people's lives are like boiled down to.
We are joined now by Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro. Josh, good morning to you. Thanks for coming by.
Morning.
The grand jury there in Pennsylvania, it unearthed what's described as secret archives from the Catholic Church. And those archives reportedly show a systematic cover-up of child sex abuse in Pennsylvania. What else did those secret archives show? Who had access to those archives?
23 grand jurors met for 2 years in Pennsylvania. They unearthed over 301 predator priests, more than 1,000 victims, children in Pennsylvania. They found that there was not only widespread sexual abuse, rape of children, but they found that there was a systematic cover-up that went all the way to the Vatican. It's horrifying to think what these men of God did to these children, and then to have the cover-up that quite literally was very purposeful. They were doing it to shield these predator priests from law enforcement. So they would shield them, or they would pass them around for years to avoid law enforcement.
Well, Josh, do you have evidence that the Pope had knowledge or participated in a cover-up with regards to the Pennsylvania diocese?
We have evidence that the Vatican had knowledge of the cover-up. I can't specifically speak to Pope Francis, but I think the broader issues here with the Vatican knowing about this, with church leaders knowing about it, and the reaction you've seen, not just from Catholics, but Americans and people all across the globe, is just a fundamental disappointment and anger in institutions. We're seeing institutions, whether it's in Hollywood, whether it's at universities, whether it's in government centers, and certainly whether it's at the church, putting their own institutional reputation above the welfare of children. We will not tolerate that in Pennsylvania, and we shouldn't tolerate it anywhere. Child rape in 1970 is the same as child rape in 2018. It is never acceptable, and it is never okay to cover it up.
We bring in Mike Rezendes. He won a Pulitzer as a member of the Boston Globe Spotlight team, which, of course, uncovered a similar pattern of sex abuse within the Catholic Church in Boston. Michael, good morning.
Good morning.
You know, you look at this and you think, OK, this is Pennsylvania. It doesn't even include Philadelphia, but it's, you know, greater Pennsylvania. But the sense is that this every state in America could have a report like this if they looked into it. Is that the case?
I think that's absolutely true. I think if there were an attorney general in every major city in America that wanted to investigate this, they would find pretty much the same thing. The story is the same, whether it's Boston or Pennsylvania or Tucson or Los Angeles or Ireland,
globally. Yeah.
Ireland, Australia, Chile. It's the same. The depravity is the same. The criminality is the same. And the cover-up's the same.
Talking about, Ann, about the cover-up, what I found among the most sickening details in this is that there was a cover-up, almost a playbook that the church hierarchy followed.
Yeah, the grand jury talks about that. They said it had several steps, including, first of all, you didn't talk about the specifics of what happened, the crimes. Instead, you referred to it as horseplay or wrestling, so you diminished it. Then when the priests were moved out of the parish, you didn't tell the parishioners why the priest was gone. He just disappeared. And then most of all, they said the rule was don't go to the police. Well, and that enabled this to remain a secret from the parishioners and to enable the church to do what it wanted with those priests.
I was surprised to see that some of the priests went and kind of confessed. And you thought at that moment maybe something would be done, but no.
A lot of Catholics, especially in this country, have been feeling really good about this Pope. However, is he doing enough with regard to these victims and some of the behavior of the Catholic Church in terms of a cover-up?
I think all the survivors would say emphatically, no, he has not done enough. And this issue has the potential to mar Francis's legacy forever. He has not come to grips with this issue. 16 years after the Boston Globe Spotlight Team report, the Vatican has done very, very little. A blue ribbon commission has been appointed. There have been promises to hold bishops accountable, but really, in a very substantive way, nothing has been done.